Thanks for tuning in to another episode on the Volkswagen project. So today I'm going to be replacing everything that the mouse chewed up and hopefully get it started. Let's see how that goes. Before I can try to start it, first thing I'm going to have to do is replace that engine harness that I talked about in the last video that was chewed up by the mouse. From what I've seen, just looking around before taking anything apart, it looks like it's just the part of the wire harness that runs along the firewall in the back and over to the passenger side. And then it kind of comes up through here and then up to the top of the engine into the front of the engine. I'll start taking things apart and inspecting everything else. I know it's chewed up. It also chewed up the coil or the wire that goes from the coil to the distributor. So I'll replace that and I'll make sure I check out all the other hoses and tubing and everything else to make sure it hasn't been chewed up. So it's going to take a few hours at least. So I'm just going to put it on time lapse and let it run. Here we are on day 2 of the project. So now yesterday I was able to replace part of the wire harness. So as a little background on these, there's a harness that runs along the firewall over to the passenger side under the dash, and that goes to the Jetronic controller. So that harness connects up to the cruise control and down in here to the bottom of the thermostat, and it also connects back there to the O2 sensor, which has been chewed up by the mouse also. So I need to replace that, and that looks like a nightmare. I'll deal with that another day. And then along with that, there's a harness that runs from the driver's side, and that's underneath that goes to the fuse box that's under the steering column, and that is a huge rat's nest of wires. That is a mess. And it comes out, there's like 3 of them that come out over here, but the mouse only chewed up 1 of them. And so it comes out, it runs under the brake booster, across here, and also over to the O2 sensor. And the part that the mouse chewed up runs up through here, over here to the oil pressure sensor, and another sensor, I don't remember what it was, and then over to the starter for power. So it looks like a huge mess in here, but there's a decent enough amount of space that you can clip the cable ties and pull everything out. So it wasn't terrible. It only took a few hours, but it definitely is not something that you want to start and then leave it sit for a month and come back to it, because most of the plugs, like on a new car, every connector has a different plug, so you can't screw anything up. But this has pretty much 3 plugs. You have this style. Let's see, let me grab one of these. This style back here that has like a spring clip on it, and then a bunch of just regular terminal connectors. And really none of them are labeled, none of them are different colors, so if the wire reaches somewhere, you can just plug it in. And that could definitely cause you some problems. So I marked it as best I could, and then doing it in the same day, I kind of remembered where everything went. But let's move on now. I've got the wire harness out for the driver's side. It's laying over here. I need to make a couple repairs to the replacement one. The replacement one is this one. the one that isn't chewed up. So we got a couple wires that are cut, but that's not a big deal. I can just grab those from the original harness. That part of the harness is okay. So I'll repair that and snake it back in. I'm not very flexible in trying to get up under the dash. Like the passenger side, you can see there's a blanket in there. I had to lay upside down on the passenger seat to get my arms under the dash to unplug a couple things to that fuel injection system computer. So it was not the easiest thing to do. But enough of my ramblings. I'll put it on time lapse and hopefully get this thing in a couple hours. Only took another about 3 hours, but I've got everything buttoned up. It wasn't as bad as it looked like it would be at the beginning. I've got everything in there, cable tied together back where it's supposed to be, everything run where it's supposed to be. I found that the mouse had chewed up a couple vacuum lines as well, so those have been replaced. And when I was working down around the thermostat, I noticed one of the lines, the clamp on the hose was really loose and the hose was about ready to blow off and it was leaking some coolant. So I guess that saved a roadside AAA call. So I guess now we're pretty much ready to try to start it. I think everything's in there. You can see the one blue line. So I bought some new NGK spark plug wires. I've just replaced the one that was eaten. I'll replace the rest of them when I do the valve cover and the tune-up and everything, but I just wanted to do that so I can try to start it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be fine. All right, not great news. It's just clicking when I hit the key. And it was turning over before I replaced the wire harness, so I know that the starter at least worked. I did forget one plug, and that was on the starter, so that could be a reason why it's not starting. It was a pain in the ass to get to, so I had to put it up on the rack to get it from the underneath. Let's try it again. Well, I'm absolutely shocked by that. It's been sitting for 2 years, and honestly, I swear to you that is the first time I've tried to start it, and the first time it has tried to start in over 2 years. It sounds like it's running fine. It's got great oil pressure. I don't know. I can't drive it very far because it has no brakes, but it seems to be running perfect. I tried to take it for a little run around the driveway. The emergency brake kind of works well enough that it won't roll too far, but I think my shifter linkage is screwed up because I don't have first gear. I've got fourth, and there's no way that it'll make it up the little grade here on its own. Reverse is fine. It has plenty of power in reverse, so I think the linkage is just screwed up a little bit, and it's instead of first, it's going into third and second, and it's going into fourth. But we've got a little bit of smoke coming up over here. So I think next thing, when I'm back from Germany, I think I'll pull it outside and degrease the engine, and then I'll go through and start figuring out what mechanical stuff I need. So obviously spark plugs, probably timing belt kit, and do the valve cover gasket, all the belts. But I'm shocked by how easy it started and how well it's running. It's idling perfect. So I guess German engineering wins on this one. So stay tuned for the next update.